A few days ago, AIM-listed mining investment company Cadence Minerals, epic code KDNC, took a big step forward with the launch of a development strategy to fast-track production of green iron at its Amapa iron ore mine, rail and port project in Brazil. Chief Executive Kiran Morzaria joins us today to tell us more. Hi Kiran, it's good to see you again.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So, Kiran, we've spoken on a number of occasions, and of course, I've interviewed you on location at Amapa and, of course, at the Santana port itself. A project of this scale was always going to take time to bring to fruition, but from what I understand, a lot has been happening recently. So, can you bring us up to speed on where things stand right now?
Yeah, you're right. It's a big integrated operation, and we've taken a measured approach to de-risk it. But yes, we reached a really exciting inflection point. We've just launched a stage development strategy to bring production in a matter of months and not years. The first step is recommissioning the Azteca plant that gives us a near-term cash flow while preserving shareholder value. It's a low capex route that lays the foundation for scaling up the entire mine, rail, port and beneficiation plant.
So recommissioning the Azteca plant, that's a big milestone for Cadence. What kind of impact do you expect that to have on the project overall?
You're right. It's a major milestone. Azteca is a proven facility. It produced 62% iron ore historically back in 2012. And we're bringing it back online using a stockpile of historic feed to the froth flotation plant that we know is rich in iron ore content. And with around 3.5 million capex, we'll be able to produce around 380,000 tonnes of a 65% iron ore concentrate. And even at today's prices, the margins are solid at $24 a tonne. It's a highly efficient way to generate revenue early and support the full restart of the Amapa iron ore mine.
Okay, and of course, with those restarts, you require permits. What's left to be done with the permitting process in order that production can actually begin?
Well, we're close. The last steps of the mine installation license, which is what we require for this Azteca plant. And importantly, that allows us to construct the whole plant if we have the funding. But we basically, the last two items that are needed are a supplementary archaeological study, and finalising the engineering designs for a water reticulation system and a sewage treatment plant. These are expected, subject to finance, to take about 2 months to complete, and there would be a 2-month federal review on the archaeological study. The other two studies should be fairly short to be reviewed. And barring any surprises, we expect to align for production within 3 months of the licence approval.
That's fantastic. So you've got the license approval. What happens next?
Well, we move quickly into commissioning. Our teams and contracts are ready and the plant has been fully assessed. Once we begin generating cash flow from Azteca, those proceeds combined with any potential joint venture funding that we secure to build a larger plant will be used to advance detailed engineering on the full-scale project to restart the mine, the port and the beneficiation plant. Ultimately, yes, the Azteca plant is important. It's a pivotal point in the development of this asset. But we're really building towards a 5.5 million tonnes per year operation, producing direct reduction iron ore, which is a high purity, low carbon footprint, and exactly what the steel sector needs for decarbonisation going forward.
Okay, well, on the subject of funding, we know you've been talking with potential partners on funding overall and, of course, on the operational side too. How are those conversations going?
For the Azteca plant, we're in active talks with potential off-takers. And importantly, these aren't just about selling the product. They're aligned with funding the restart. Our aim is to bring in the capex, working capital support through the off-take agreements. Our preference is to use off-take finance because it then minimises the dilution to Cadence shareholders. And the economics of the project are strong enough at the moment to support that approach. In relation to the broader financing of the 5.5 million tonnes per annum product, we are obviously in current discussions with various potential JV partners to fund the equity portion of that asset. We already have arranged debt financing through China, but that also could change. We would look at sort of local, state, federal funding to do that as well. But overall, both regards, both the Azteca and the larger plant, we're in a good position in relation to financing partners and potential funding.
Excellent. So you go through the permitting process. That's what, 4 months. Recommission the plant. Azteca, get it up and running. That's 3 months. So once it's up and running, what are the next steps? How do you see the project developing from there?
Beyond generating the cash flow, we'll also be looking at the tailings feed. Now, there's been historically around 28 million tonnes of tailings at varying degrees of iron ore content. So post this initial high-grade material, there's the potential to utilise a small plant to supplement the 5.5 million tonnes through the reprocessing of tailings of suitable grade. But our focus really has to be, once this is operating and running smoothly, is scaling up to full operation. As I said, we've got an updated feasibility study that's $2 billion in NPV, and that's based on a long life, high-grade production scenario. Azteca is our bridge to that bigger picture, but we must focus and are focusing on that bigger picture.
Okay, well, also shareholders will have noted, of course, that you bought shares recently in the company, along with the funding that just took place from that single investor. That's a real vote of confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I've purchased over 1 million shares, increasing my stake to around 1.5% of the company. It's important for me to be aligned with shareholders, and I've always bought stock, in the open market or through a placing. And especially at this stage, where every milestone unlocks real value. I firmly believe in what we're building here, whether it be the Azteca plant or the overall story of building a 5.5 million tonne, $2 billion NPV project that's going to feed the DRI grade market, which is growing at the moment.
Okay, well, of course, you're a mining investment company, so you have other investments too. So can you bring us up to speed quickly on your investment in Evergreen Lithium and, of course, the Sonora Lithium project?
Yeah, so Evergreen Lithium is currently, obviously, they've got the lithium projects in the Northern Territories, which is next to Core Lithium. With current spodumene prices, I think they're not developing that as quick as we would like. But they are also looking at other assets. They've just recently brought a gold asset into their portfolio and see how those go. Regarding Sonora, obviously, with the historic Mexican government's cancellation of the licenses, which were unjust, we're going through an arbitration process, an international court of arbitration process, and understandably, that's a legal process. I can't disclose anything at this point in time, but once something significant comes out of that, our shareholders will be the first to know. Suffice to say, we believe we've got an incredibly strong case, and we should be recompensed for that.
Excellent. Well, Kiran, before we wrap up, in the near term, what should investors and shareholders in the company be keeping an eye out for over the next few months?
Well, primarily, the first thing we're going to do is securing that offtake financing. Once we've got that, then the permitting will flow, and the funding should be ideally through that offtake. And then we'll be permitting. Then it will be, after that, the construction and update, which we're really keen to keep shareholders informed about. And then commissioning and production. Look, each of those stages unlocks tangible value, we believe. Once cash flow begins, we'll be in a strong position to accelerate the broader development strategy at Amapa.
Kiran, we wish you every success in recommencing production at Amapa, and that will be an historic day when it happens. Kiran Morzaria, Chief Executive of Cadence Minerals, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.